Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to unpack absolutely everything you need to know about the 2026 drone landscape. We are looking at a world right now where consumer tech has reached such incredible heights that the exact same basic principles you'd use to capture a breathtaking beach for your travel vlog are actually being deployed to save the world's coral reefs. It's an absolutely fascinating space, blending high-end photography, some pretty complex international laws, and cutting-edge environmental science. So here's our roadmap for today. First, the ultimate aerial perspective. Second, top drone gear for 2026. Third, navigating global drone laws. And fourth, drones saving the oceans. All right, let's jump right into section 1, the ultimate aerial perspective. Before we get bogged down in tech specs and flight rules, we really need to talk about the why. Why do we go through the hassle of packing a drone in the first place? Well, it's for places exactly like this. Just imagine flying over some of these top global locations. Picture the Maldives' newly opened Central Supreme Island, capturing those unique trailing beaches in that super striking X-shaped jetty from 100 feet up. Or gliding over the crystal-clear turquoise waters of Grace Bay in Turks and Caicos, or the blinding white sands down in Australia's Hyams Beach. And then there's Hawaii's Na Pali coast. We're talking about a majestic, untouched 17-mile stretch of towering sea cliffs and cascading waterfalls where there are literally no roads. A drone gives you access to a perspective that, honestly, used to require chartering a full-on helicopter. And I think travel creator Max Hayes really hits the nail on the head here. A drone doesn't just record a trip, it elevates it into an unforgettable cinematic experience. It takes us out of our own shoes and puts us right up in the sky, giving this incredible sense of scale and grandeur that a standard camera simply can't pull off. Moving right along to section 2, top drone gear for 2026. Okay, so to actually capture all that immense beauty, you need the right gear. And looking at the consumer market right now, sensor size is the big thing you need to pay attention to. The DJI Mavic 4 Pro is your professional heavy hitter. It boasts a massive 4/3 sensor, 3 different cameras, and a 51-minute flight time, but it does weigh over a kilogram. Then you've got the DJI Air 3S. This is really the perfect all-rounder sweet spot, giving you a 1-inch main sensor and dual cameras. But if you're traveling, the ultimate companion is the DJI Mini 5 Pro. You still get a 1-inch sensor, but it keeps the weight strictly under 250 grams. And as we'll see in just a minute, that weight is incredibly important. Now, if you're an absolute beginner and reading all those specs just made your head spin, there is a brand new option this year that you're going to love. The DJI Lito X1 offers a highly forgiving entry point. It's roughly half the price of the Mini 5 Pro, it still weighs under 250 grams, and most importantly for new pilots, it features front-facing LiDAR. So what's the deal with LiDAR, and how does it stop you from instantly crashing your new toy? Basically, LiDAR uses lasers to map the environment in real time. Unlike standard optical sensors that need bright daylight just to see a tree branch, LiDAR works even in extremely low light conditions. It's essentially like having an invisible bumper car shield around your drone. It lets beginners build up that muscle memory for flying without destroying their investment on day one. Which brings us to section 3, navigating global drone laws. Because you might have the perfect gear, but the sky isn't as free as it looks from the ground. The absolute most crucial legal point is this magic number right here, 249 grams. Keeping your drone under 250 grams, which is exactly why the Mini 5 Pro and Lito X1 are designed to weigh 249 g, changes pretty much everything. In Europe, it places your drone in the highly permissive low-risk C0 category, so you can often fly closer to people without heavy licensing. Over in the US, it completely avoids the requirement for FAA registration if you're just flying as a hobbyist. Honestly, weight is your biggest legal asset. But, and this is a big but, weight does not exempt you from geography. If you ignore the local rules in places like Spain's Canary Islands, specifically in natural parks like Timanfaya or the Maspalomas dunes, you could be hit with a staggering fine of up to 600,000 euros. Yeah, you heard me right, 600,000. Rangers actively patrol these areas and, let's be real, no cinematic sunset shot is worth €500,000. You also have to keep altitude limits in mind. Even with a super lightweight sub-250-gram drone, in the UK and Europe, these C0 class drones are now strictly capped by their software at a 120-meter altitude limit above your takeoff point. And that applies no matter where you originally bought the drone. So if you take off from a valley floor, you physically cannot fly up the side of a 300-meter mountain. That is definitely something you need to plan for if you're out hiking. It's kind of wild how much these rules create a stark contrast across the globe. On one hand, you have highly friendly airspace in places like Australia and the USA. Vast landscapes like the Outback or Bureau of Land Management territories offer incredible, hassle-free flying for those sub-250-gram drones. But on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, you've got countries like Morocco and Cuba. These aren't just no-fly zones. They have strict general import bans. If you land at the airport in Marrakesh with a drone in your backpack, customs will instantly confiscate it. So to actually survive international travel with your gear, you have to follow a non-negotiable 3-step pre-flight checklist. 1. Always check the local laws using the country's official aviation app, like dipl.de in Germany. Don't just rely on the drone's built-in map. 2. Register for an operator ID if required, which is pretty much standard across the EU now. And 3. Pack your lithium polymer batteries in your carry-on luggage. Never put them in checked bags. This is a super strict airline fire safety regulation, and failing to do it will literally get your bags pulled off the flight. Finally, let's wrap up with Section 4. Drones saving the oceans. Let's zoom out for a second to the macro purpose here. It's amazing to see how these exact same consumer tools are being elevated into vital scientific instruments. Institutions like the Australian Institute of Marine Science, or AIMS, are proving that drones aren't just toys for your social media feed. They are incredibly cost-effective, real-time tools for saving our oceans. Instead of chartering crazy expensive manned aircraft or relying on low-res satellite data that gets clouded by weather, scientists are just launching drones straight from the decks of their research vessels. These drones are literally being deployed on the front lines of conservation. They're out there mapping dredging plumes and tracking those devastating coral bleaching events. But maybe the most crucial part is how they're safely deploying over really dangerous shallow reef flats. We're talking about water that is too treacherous for boats and way too hazardous for human divers. Drones just hover above it all, gathering critical high-resolution and thermal data, and they do it without disturbing the fragile ecosystem below. And sure, the consumer drones we looked at earlier tap out around 45 to 50 minutes of flight time, but for science, the tech scales up massively. AIMS is utilizing heavy-duty, field-ready drones that fly pre-programmed autonomous routes for over 90 minutes. And they aren't just flying longer, they're carrying up to 6 kilograms of highly specialized sensing equipment. They capture these massive hyperspectral data sets, which basically measure light way beyond what human eyes can see to tell the scientists exactly how healthy the water and the coral truly are. So we've really seen the full spectrum today, haven't we? From how a simple 249-gram tool can capture the stunning beaches of the Maldives, to how strict international laws keep our skies safe, all the way to how advanced versions of this tech are actively monitoring the Great Barrier Reef. The barrier to entry has literally never been lower, and the potential has never been higher. Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought for your next adventure. The sky is yours. How are you going to use it?